Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Stuff HD podcast. This is Javier, aka Stuff,
and this is Equis, aka Mr. I have no AKA. I fucked that one up.
And today, we're doing another podcast. Yay! Because that's what you're listening.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's what we do. So we wanted to talk about a very, very serious topic today. Or at least it's a topic that a lot of people take very, very seriously. And that's spoilers. So, spoiler alert. There might be spoilers on this episode. Spoilers to what? I can't tell you right now. I don't know. But we're going to figure out what the rules are or might be or should be. So, I'll start asking you, Equis, how do you feel about spoilers?
One of the things, like, I really don't mind spoilers. Like it to me, it doesn't ruin anything unless it's like just like very rare occasions where I'm like, I try to avoid like Twitter or Instagram or any like those. Like if it's something that I really want to watch like the next day, if I'm gonna watch it like the next day, then I'll just stay off those things.
Like a sporting event or something like that?
Yeah, like,
wrestling
something like that. Even if it's like maybe a movie that I'm going to watch, I'll try to stay away from like Twitter. But like honestly, like a lot of things, like if I have no plan on watching it right away or something, if it gets spoiled, I'm like, okay. Because a lot of times I feel like, it gets me more excited because if I hear something that's going to happen, I'm like, oh.
See, that's what I was going to say. Like me, I tend to like spoilers. Like, even when it's something that I want to watch, if I hear something that I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool, then I want to see it happen. Like the fact that I already know it happened, it doesn't bother me at all.
Yeah, it's how it happens.
Now I really want to see it happen.
Yeah. Then
it also works the other way. Like if there's a movie that I want to watch and somebody tells me the end, or they tell me like, oh, this character dies or whatever, then I might be like, you know what, it's probably not worth it then.
Yeah.
Especially if it's a shitty ending.
Yeah.
Then I'm like, okay, I'm not even gonna bother then because that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
So then I kind of appreciate the spoiler because then I don't have to waste my time.
Time and money.
Yeah, time and money. Especially if it's something at the movies, which are very, very expensive nowadays.
Yeah. Yeah.
So but then I can totally understand how certain movies they have things that you definitely don't want to spoil. So and I can kind of understand how it bothers some people. So I'm wondering though then what is the, like, is there a time limit? Like if a movie came out, should there be a time limit where you're like, you know what, if you haven't seen it by now, then screw you, buddy. Like
yeah, like I would, like, me personally would say like a month. Like if it's a movie.
Okay.
It's because sometimes I don't like going the first 2 or 3 weeks if it's a popular movie. Like if it's like a Star Wars or something like that, because like I really don't like crowds.
Okay.
So I try to avoid big crowds. So I'll usually go like there like the 3rd or 4th week, watch the movie. Like I'm not a first or second week person. So okay, maybe a month is too much. I would say more like 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Okay. Because it's like a month depends. Is like 4 weeks.
So you feel like after 3 weeks it should be okay to spoil it for somebody, or
like after 3 weeks, it's like one of those things where if you talk like you watch like a podcast or watch a podcast, you listen to a podcast or watch a video, and they're talking about potential movie things, and that gets spoiled. Like that's your own fault.
Okay.
If it's like some like a
however, if I can totally understand if it's a podcast where they're that they're talking about that movie and it gets spoiled, and you shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
But then what if it's just a podcast and then they just happen to throw something about the movie just randomly? Yeah. It might still suck Because after 3 weeks, you might just be like, yeah, I'm just gonna wait for it to come out on Netflix or something.
Like, because usually how long does it take to come out on DVD? On DVD, I'm like,
I don't even know anymore.
Like for sure, once it comes out on video, like there's no excuse at all. Like if once it comes out on Blu-ray or whatever, on Netflix or whatever, then for sure, like you have no reason to get mad at spoilers.
All right, because I was talking to some friends at work, Priscilla and Sean, and so they both agree that they think you should wait 1 year.
Oh no!
Before you wait
Right.
before you no longer have to say spoiler alert.
Nah, to me it's after a month. You don't have to say
After
spoiler.
a month, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, a month.
If it's
that seems too soon.
No, to me, like if it's a movie, like in a theater, after a month you don't have to say spoiler. If it's like
What about a TV show?
yeah, like a TV show, then
Episode, yeah.
yeah, I think that expands more because you invest more time in a TV show. So
so you're giving more time to the
to a TV show. Like
episode. I would have thought it would have been less.
no, I give 6 because like for example, I hate watching one episode at a time. I like to binge watch my episodes. So like if the season is going like how long is a season? Like 6 months?
Usually, yeah, something
right,
like
so,
that.
So
they go.
So to me, it's like 6 months because like Doctor Who, for example, honestly, I don't care about the spoilers, but I like to wait till the season's over.
So you can binge watch
so
it
I
later.
can watch. Because I just hate waiting.
Yeah, you have a good point because a lot of, any TV show on Netflix, there are TV shows where the season has already ended. They wait a certain amount of time after the season ends, then they go into Netflix. And, there's a lot of TV shows that I prefer to watch on Netflix because of that, Well, also because they're like on Showtime or whatever. And I don't have those services, so I have to wait until Netflix gets them. So, okay, that's interesting. But what if, let's throw this one out there. What if it's somebody that you're telling them about a movie, and it's an older movie, maybe a year, 2 years, but they never heard about it, so you're telling them about it. So now they might be interested in the movie, but if you go ahead and spoil it for them, then
like for example, the whole thing about like a year, it's not that you will go and talk to them against their will. That it's like if we're talking here on a podcast and we say the Titanic,
like right now, for example, during the weekend I watched the movie Downsizing. I absolutely hated it. Could I just go ahead and start talking about why I hated it, or do I have to go like, "Hey guys, spoiler alert"?
No, you don't have to say spoiler because you're just talking about it. Now, if you're talking to one
but to be fair, on the podcast title, it doesn't say anything about the movie Downsizing. Maybe they planned on watching that movie at some point.
Is it after a month?
Oh, it's been over a year now.
Okay, then no, you don't say like to me it's like the only time they get a spoiler thing is like if you're talking to the person, you're like, oh, have you seen Downsizing? Like, no, I haven't seen it. Like, oh, it's it's about this, whatever.
Oh, it's a horrible movie. Don't watch it.
So you kind of like you ask them like, have you seen the movie or whatever? And if they say, oh, I haven't seen it, and they're like, oh, like, and then you start talking about it, like, are you like, do you plan on seeing it? If not, then
see, that's what I was gonna get to. Like is it on me to ask them, are you planning on watching it, or is it on them to tell me like, hey, by the way, I'm planning on watching it.
Yeah,
so don't spoil it.
If they plan on watching it, they should say something. If you say, oh, have you seen Star Wars?
Yeah, you would think that you should be able to discuss episode 6 with anybody.
Or like
and tell them how much it sucks. No,
like Infinity Wars. Like at this point, like they're like, oh yeah, like Infinity Wars. Everybody
dies. Okay, there, I spoiled it.
Yeah, like there
should be good for me to say it.
Like
now.
if you avoided all this time on Twitter and Instagram and not know all the memes that happened at the end, and you weren't able to connect it, that's on you. But yeah, like if you're talking to somebody and you say, "Oh, what's the new movie? The Lion King, that the new one that's coming out." Like, "Oh, have you seen the Lion King?" And they're like, "No, I haven't seen it." Like, "Oh, do you know what happens at the end?" And they're like, "Oh, no, 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 don't tell me, don't tell me." Then you're like, "Okay, I won't tell you," because they put it on themselves to tell you not to spoil it. See, when you're talking to a person one on one, you can kind of control. But if we're on a podcast, like.
Yeah,
there's no. I can't.
But again, if it's not in the title of the podcast, then it would probably still be polite, I guess, to be like, look, spoiler alert, because screw it.
Yeah, I
always find that kind of weird because it's like I want you to keep listening. Like if I just say spoiler alert, what am I doing? Like telling you to stop listening to the podcast and then fast forward till. And hope that you get to a point. You're gonna fast forward and get exactly to the point where I spoil everything.
Yeah, like if it gets to the point like of where we're like, oh, like that movie, blah blah blah,
and Downsizing, where it sucked,
and they're good, and they are planning on watching it. They should just pause it and
go watch it
and then
come back.
When you're listening to a podcast, when you pause it, it stays there.
Yeah, it's still
so
there.
You can come back a week later. Like our podcasts are not time exclusive, so you can always come back.
You can go listen to last week's episode too. Like
spoiler alert.
No, spoiler alert. It sucks. What about when you are now? See, so I think it also depends on the movie because, Sean, my friend Sean, brought out a good point. Some movies you definitely shouldn't spoil. If for some reason, even if they're old movies, if for some reason people haven't seen them and they don't know, like let's say The Sixth Sense.
I was just thinking that in my head.
I'm like,
spoil that.
Spoil the shit out of it.
Like if you...
There's this movie where a guy is hanging out with a little kid the whole time. So yeah, I'm like, if somebody has never seen that, like Sixth Sense, Fight Club is another good one. Then you probably need to get better friends because if they haven't seen those movies by now. But I could see somebody like they've never. Maybe they always heard about Fight Club, but which you're not supposed to hear about it, but whatever. But they never bother watching.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when I used to listen to my friends talk about Doctor Who, and I was always like, I don't know what the hell this Doctor Who thing is. Like, this sounds stupid.
Yeah.
And then one day, out of the blue, I read something about how it's a time machine, and then I was like, oh wait, that sounds cool.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got addicted to it.
Yeah.
So I can understand somebody maybe having heard of something like Fight Club, but they've never watched it. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, especially like Sixth Sense, like you have every other movie has always made a joke like, I see dead people.
Yeah, that is true.
I see. They'll flip it and say like, oh, I see Mexican people or some shit like that, and so it's like you hear all these memes about it, and you're like, you kind of know that it's coming from the Sixth Sense. Most of the time, unless you're really that dumb. But like at this point, it's like if you didn't make the effort to go watch it, like that's on you. Like
it kind of is.
He's dead.
Oh shit! Spoiler alert. He's dead. I told you there might be spoilers in this episode. Another one, the Titanic, it sank. It sank. It's down. Which brings me to my next point. Spoilers when it has to do with historical events.
Yeah.
Now, I always tell this story because I find it hilarious. But a friend of mine, I won't say his name because I don't want to piss off Elijah. So we started watching this Spartacus TV show, and my dumbass, I had always thought that Spartacus was kind of like some kind of legend, like like a superhero or something. But then I realized, oh wait, Spartacus was an actual thing, like an actual person, an actual thing that happened. according to legends anyway, and history. So it got me really interested in learning about Spartacus. So I went ahead and, once I get interested in something, especially with history, I learn everything that I can about it. So then, I had all this information about Spartacus, and then my friend didn't want me to tell him about it because it was spoiling, because he's a huge anti-spoiler. So he's like, oh, don't tell me it's going to spoil the TV show. So then I'm like, but this is history. Like, it can't be spoilers if it's real history that happened. And, the Titanic reminded me of that. Like, everybody knows what happened with the Titanic. If you watch a movie about the Titanic, it's going to sink.
What?
If it's somewhat accurate. It's like if you watch a movie about Jesus Christ, he's going to end up on a cross. Like,
yeah.
So, you watch a Moses movie, he's going to open up the sea. So, yeah, I'm like, should there be spoiler alerts on historical events?
I mean, like, no, there shouldn't. Like, not for the actual, like, things that are recorded in history. Like, I know that in like TV shows and movies, they stretch the truth, or they get some creative liberties on the storylines that they make. Unless like the Titanic, at the end, some crazy stuff happened where the aliens from Independence Day
brings
came
out a laser and it blows up the iceberg.
Yeah, like the iceberg is really like a UFO or something.
And then swallows the Titanic and takes it up to space.
And then you don't spoil that.
Then you would be like, you know what? I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, like if it's like a basically close to the reality, then yeah, like who's
now the TV show, to be fair, they were at least in the things that were the main things that were happening, they were very close to reality. So that made it even better for me, because now I was, with this new knowledge of what actually happened, now it was a hell of a lot more fun to watch the TV show for me. But yeah, I was always like, dude, what do you mean this is a spoiler? Like, it's history. It can't be a spoiler.
Yeah. And I know, like, I know you kind of mentioned it at the beginning, like a sporting event and stuff. Like, I know, like, some people, like, they'll DVR, like, either, like, soccer games or stuff.
And they go crazy. Like, no, don't tell me.
Yeah, like, I think in those, like, and I get it, because sometimes, especially, like, if it's a World Cup where people go crazy, and, sometimes if the game is in Japan, it's gonna be like in the middle of the how you say, like,
night.
Yeah, the middle of the night. So like you're not gonna stay awake for that time. So you kind of want to wake up. And,
if you're a real fan, you.
Yeah, like you don't want somebody texting you, oh, do you see that? Blah blah blah.
Yeah, you wake up in the morning and it's just a text from your friend. Man, that game sucked. I can't believe we lost. Yeah. Damn it.
And that, like me, I don't care, because I know it's a sporting event. Like,
yeah,
if I fall asleep, when I wake up, that's the first thing I check. I check the score, right, to see, did we win or did we lose? Like, because I'm not gonna watch it. I don't plan on watching it. I just want to know.
And see, even that spoiler, I'm not really a sports guy, so I'm the same way. I really don't care. But like living in Wisconsin, you have to, by law, be somewhat of a Packers fan. So when the Packers are doing good, and I actually care a little bit about them, if they're like in the last games, and I wake up and Google is telling me like, hey, they won, then I'm like, hey,
yeah,
I'm happy. I'm like, hey, yeah, they won. And I might even go on YouTube and look at some highlights, exactly. Yeah. And then be like, oh, okay, I can talk to people about work about that thing that just happened.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, you saw that pass? Oh man, that was amazing. Yeah, I didn't watch the game, but I did see the highlight.
And if you work in a place where there's real fanatics, you'll know what the mood is going to be.
You'll know what the mood is.
Like, oh, they lost. They're like, oh man, I gotta be empathetic,
but
sympathetic.
I work in Illinois, where she's all Bears fans. So whenever the Packers would beat the crap out of the Bears, it was fun to go to work. That's when I become Packer fan. Even though I don't really care, but I love messing with them. So, anyway, speaking of work, what happens when... Here's one thing that I hate about spoilers, spoiler alerts and stuff. When you're talking to a group of friends at work, or just between your own friends, I guess, and like, I don't know, there's like 5 of you, and 4 of you saw a movie, but then there's that one person that didn't, and then they're like, "Oh no, spoiler alert!" Then you just want to like kick that person out of the group.
Yeah, you
Like, look, we want to discuss this thing. We just went to watch this movie, or we just saw the episode of this TV show last night. You should have seen it too. Like, get the hell away from here so that we can talk about it. But of course, you can't say that because that would be mean.
Nah, you can go out there and like get out of here. Like for example, the only thing that would like I would be more like movies and TV shows. I really don't care to be spoiled, but sometimes video games, like sometimes like my favorite series is Metal Gear Solid, right? So I haven't played those in a while, but like when I was really into gaming a lot more, like I would avoid any video that talked about that. Okay. Especially if I was actively playing them, at the same time, But like at this point, like I think me right now, I just even that I try to like Red Dead Redemption. I went and looked at what happened, and I still want to play it.
To be fair, like following the stories in Metal Gear now, it's impossible.
Yeah.
No, for me anyway, I'm like, this game is all over the place. I don't know what the hell is going on anymore. Like, I don't even care anymore. It's so damn confusing. They go in the past, they go in the future, they go back in the present. Like, what the hell is the present? I don't know. Yeah. Anyway, that's my spoiler alert for Metal Gear. It's confusing.
Yeah. Well, like especially if you talk about like, classic like Terminator and things like that. Like at this point, like you're not gonna say spoiler alert. Like
you will hope that you don't have to.
Yeah.
But some people still expect it, and that's what we're here for. Like, look, after I don't know, let's say 3 months. After 3 months, you shouldn't have to.
I'll give you. Okay, for sure. Once the movie that was in the theater. Once it makes it to like Blu-ray or something, then for sure that's a good 3-4.
Yeah, you have plenty of time to watch it.
Yeah, that's one.
Well, let's give them a month after, because then they have a month to go to the Red Box or to go to Apple TV or whatever and rent it. If you really care, you should have seen it by now. But hell, I get it. Going to the movies is very expensive, especially if you have a family. So we'll give you a whole month. After that time. Look, if I forget to say spoiler alert, I'm sorry. I'm going to try to say spoiler alert just because it is still kind of polite. It doesn't take that much work. Although, again, the Titanic sank.
Bruce Willis is dead.
Bruce Willis is dead.
Fight Club is a lie. I haven't seen that movie.
And the cake is not real. Or the cake. No, wait. I messed that up.
Yeah, that's right.
The cake's not real, right?
Cake is not real.
Yeah, something like that. So on TV shows,
no, the cake is a lie.
The cake is a lie. This sentence is not real, or there was something about not real. Anyway, where was I going with this? Do you ever do a spoiler, but then it's a fake spoiler? Just to mess with people. Because that happens to me sometimes. I hear a spoiler and I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then in the back of my mind, I'm like, because, it leads me to going to watch it. But then on the back of my mind, I'm like, what if this person lied to me?
Like, I don't think I've ever done it purposely. If I did, it's because I honestly messed up.
Yeah, I have very bad memory, so it's very possible that I might have confused some facts.
I watched 3 different movies and you switched them up.
The one fact that I cannot confuse, however, it's just how bad Downsizing is.
Is there a spoiler for that?
Is there a spoiler for that? Here's the spoiler for that. If you don't want to hear it, you may, go away now. But Downsizing, it's a movie that, okay, so you know the concept. The concept is that they found a way to make people small, and they wanted to do this so that to help save the environment, because small people consume a lot less of whatever. So I'm like, okay, cool. This is a cool idea. I like it. And then throughout the whole movie, it's just confusing because at first, just looking at the previews and whatnot, I'm thinking, okay, so this looks like a comedy. Yeah. So I'm thinking it's a comedy. But then as I'm watching it, I'm like, whoa, this is not a comedy. Like it almost looks like it might be a romantic comedy. But then it doesn't really turn into a romantic comedy or a romantic anything. So then you think throughout the whole movie, you think that all these things are going to happen, and they keep disappointing you. And then at the end, it's just a movie about a guy that became small to have a better life, and then his life was messed up, and then he ended up being small and having a shitty life anyway. And that was the whole, that was the whole movie. So I'm like, okay, you guys took a really good idea and then you kind of messed it up. And then stuff like that really pisses me off, because then I'm like, okay, if somebody wants to take that good idea, that original good idea of making people small and being able to do something with it, now they can't, because you already took that idea. So then even if they make it better, you're going to be like, no, you stole our idea. And then be like, oh, copyright and crap.
So basically the thing is, like, no matter if you try to do something that will help the betterment of mankind, you're still screwed.
Apparently.
Like, don't even bother
there
trying.
Were so many things in the movie. Like, I really don't want to list them all, but there were so many things in the movie that you thought it was going to be. Like, somehow, okay, I'll mention this one. Somehow, because it costs money to go and be turned small, but then like $100,000 is in the bank as a big person is the equivalent of having like so many millions of dollars in the little people town. So then that was cool. That was a good retirement for these people, like early retirement. So I'm like, okay, whatever. But then it turns out that in the little people town, there's a ghetto. And of course, the ghetto is full of Latinos for some reason. And it's like a project, like bunch of buildings on top of the other.
Well, like little buildings.
Yeah, just little projects. And they have a big screen TV in the middle, in the patio, I guess. And it's really like a cell phone, which is kind of cool, I guess. But yeah, I'm like, okay, so and there are all these basically homeless people that are very sick, people that are dying, people that have absolutely no money. And I'm like, okay, how did these people end up here?
Yeah.
Like, how do you go from having no money in the real world, I mean, as a big person, to going like, okay, I'm going to go and downsize myself, which again costs money. So I'm like, were they taking homeless people and forcing them to downsize or something? Like, how does a ghetto happen? Yeah. Now you could argue that maybe this town had been there for so long that this just happened, but no, the town had only been there for like 20 years. So again, I'm like, how do you end up with a ghetto? There were so many questions that were made no damn sense.
Yeah, because you could easily get a $1 menu burger and that would feed you for like a year.
Yeah, like again, this made no sense. Yeah. So yeah, how were all these people without any money downsized to begin with? I don't know. And why would you want to be a large person living like a homeless person, basically, because that's how they were, to becoming a tiny person living the same way. Like,
Yeah.
the whole point is that you don't need money. Like, you don't need as much money, and you can live a much better life. I don't know how they were living a much better life, because they were dying of starvation and being sick.
Yeah.
And then in the movie, like I said, there were so many points where you thought the guy was going to do certain things, and then he didn't do anything. In the end, he's just, living his cherry life.
Dude, Ant-Man is a better version of downsizing.
Yeah, Ant-Man is a much better version of downsizing. And I guess, like I was saying about how the idea and taking it and copyright and all that stuff, really the idea has been done so many times. But, this was kind of a new spin on that, and it sounded like a cool spin, and it ended up being absolute garbage. Anyway, we are out of time for today's episode. I do want to say that today's episode has been brought to you by the movie
Watch it now on your local Redbox.
Watch it now on Amazon Prime.
Man, you're saying that Amazon Prime is like where all the movies go to die?
That is where the movies go to die. I don't even know what I was doing on Amazon Prime, because I never go to I bought the NVIDIA Shield TV, and I figured, I may as well log into Amazon Prime, and I saw Downsizing on there, and I was like, I've been wanting to watch a movie, which, by the way, it's over 2 hours. It's over 2 hours of crap. Anyway,
yeah, that's where I watch Power Rangers and all those Transformer movies.
See, that's where they go to die. And all right, so this has been.
And you thought we couldn't make it.
This has been this episode of the Stuff HD podcast. Please let us know what your opinions are as far as spoiler alerts. Should people always say spoiler alert? Is it a rule? If not, after how long do you no longer have to say spoiler alert? All that good stuff. Give us your opinions. You can leave it in the comments below on stuffhd.com. Just go to stuffhd.com, go to the podcast link, and then you can check that out. From there, you can check everything else Stuff HD related. And, the whole website is totally revamped. The podcast itself is revamped because I'm using a different host, but you guys wouldn't know that because you just listen to the podcast anyway. And, if you were able to listen to it, that means I did everything all right. So, awesome.
Good job.
Again, you can also send us messages on Twitter or Instagram at RealStuffHD for myself, and at...
You can go to L.Equis on Twitter and L_Equis on Instagram. Actually, the opposite.
The opposite. For Mr. Equis, sometimes known as Mr. GSP, but not right now.
Yeah, not today.
All right.
That's in 5 minutes.
We're out of here. You all take care. Bye.